Hi, my name is Nick Harmer. I'm the lead developer for Drop Everything Games, and today we're talking about Fez. So, I played Fez, about 6 years too late evidently. As I played, I couldn't shake the feeling that even though it was beautiful and interesting and full of artistry, it was missing something. It was like I was only playing half of a game. It was as if the developer had missed some key component. And while I'm sure you remember me whining about the jump, and we will definitely talk about that in this video, that wasn't it. Fez felt, for all intents and purposes, as if it was missing its point. It didn't connect with its soul. It was a good game, but maybe not a great game. As you probably know, I have some strong opinions about video games as art. I think that as an entertainment media which forces your action via interactivity, games have not just the potential but also the responsibility to treat themselves as art. I was introduced to a set of 6 principles of high art in college. These 6 principles help us understand the difference between good art and truly great art. So here they are. 1, it is timely. It shows something from the time in which it was created. This means that Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas tells us something about American drug culture in the 70s, and that Nicholas Nickleby tells us something about lax child labor laws in Victorian England. 2, it is timeless. It lasts the test of time. The writings of Shakespeare and movies by Hitchcock both resonate with us now, and their themes and practice are still meaningful and worthy of emulation despite the intervening years. For the record, this is the place games struggle the most because their platform is too volatile. 3, it is technically masterful. This is the category on which most game reviews are based. This is why AAA games have to be in 4K and often lack focus on other areas like storytelling through mechanics. 4, it is substantive. It engages with topics that are meaningful to a large number of people, and does so in a way that is powerful and moving. Think about the Odyssey, or to a lesser degree, O Brother, Where Art Thou? The story of a man and his unrelenting desire to return home. Not just does Odysseus overcome obstacles, but on closer reading, each of those obstacles means something about him and tells something not just about his life, but also about ours. 5, it is imaginative in its creation. It is artistic in the way that we assume all art should be. It does something new and innovative. Think about Toy Story. It was the first ever film to show that computer-generated content can be used for an entire full-length feature. It did something never done before. 6, it is complex. It can be seen and interacted with on several different levels, and that interaction yields new results. It can be analyzed, and more levels of interaction will emerge. Basically, it's worthy of extended study. Consider The Oxbow by Thomas Cole. At first blush, it appears to be a simple landscape. Then on closer examination, we see a few people in the frame, who are shown to be at one with nature, and we see an oncoming storm ready to wash over everything. On our second look, we see that the artist has a message. Nature is overall. There are additional layers and levels to this painting, but I'm a little bit anxious to get on with Fez, so let's do that. Considering these 6 principles, let's see how Fez measures up. On release, the game received powerfully positive reviews. Eurogamer compared its vistas and aesthetic with Myst, and Polygon said that it was the most authentic exploration of the NES era to date. Basically, we as an industry loved this game. So why do I feel like it missed its point? I mean, honestly, the game kind of left me with an empty feeling, as if it had prepared me for a mighty quest, then kind of left me alone. I think that it missed out on the most powerful thing that it could have done, because this game could have been truly great. It could have had such staying power that it not just transformed its media, but still been considered great today. It could have been wonderful for years, but instead, it fell short. Don't get me wrong, the game has most of what it takes to be a great game. I think it shows great technical mastery through its world-building visuals and soundtrack. It creates beautiful places and makes them feel very real through changing weather, different sound effects, and mechanics to match each separate world. The game also is certainly imaginative in its creation. The idea of making a 2D platformer and allowing it to exist in 3 dimensions has never been done better before or since. The ways that puzzles are strung through this interplay is also very clever. It nails both the technical mastery and the imaginative creation elements of art. These are 2 major things working in the game's favor. On top of that, It establishes a clear theme of exploration and adventure, which, though not complex, still gives the game some direction. It supports that theme with both narrative and gameplay. By all means, it is a well-crafted game. I mean, aside from the jump, which honestly just didn't do it for me. But just beyond the types of things that we talk about and rate as game critics, there are some real issues. Those issues lie in the game's timeliness and in its complexity. I think that it all stems from the primary concept of exploration. Exploration could be a great theme, and the mechanics of the game definitely support it, but it fails to connect with an emotional narrative arc. There is nothing about the art of exploration in this game that connects to anything deeper. It's just there as part of the game. If you compare this to the 2018 title Celeste, which takes the very same genre and the same theme of exploration, but then layers on levels of complexity and meaning, Fez pales by comparison. So we know it's not the theme that is the issue, but rather the fact that the theme doesn't connect to anything. It stands alone as an ends unto itself, which honestly in 2012 was fine. An indie game of repute didn't need to mean anything to survive. It didn't need to achieve anything. But as such, it stood no chance of being remembered as anything other than a game that helped kick off a genre. So it doesn't use its theme to any particular end, but really that's no big deal. It would seem pretty unfair to judge this game based on 2018 standards. But there are some other things that seem to fall short as well. One feature that bugged me right out of the gate was the way the jump handled. There are times that I thought I had managed to jump correctly, only to be informed by the physics engine that it was in fact not how jumps were to be managed, and that in fact I had died. Which in this game is not a big deal because when you fail, you just get up and keep going again. But still, it felt as if my time was being wasted by the game. And another thing, the fact that death means literal absolute nothing meant that failure had little weight at all. There was no risk in trying something risky. So I did, all the time. It meant nothing to fail, and as such lost some of the ability to build tension. Because that's the thing about exploration, it comes with risks. When we investigate a little known field of science, there is some risk that it is a dead end and that time is wasted. When we peek into the dark places of the universe, there's some risk that something will come kick back. I would in fact argue that without risk, there is not exploration. And by taking the meaning out of death, it takes the X out of exploration. Okay, that was awful. But I stand behind the meaning of it. Another important aspect of exploration is the reward of discovery. That just behind that rock, there might be a whole world, a whole universe of unexplored content. I've talked in my streams before about Yoko Taro, and in a recent game developer conference talk, he explained the magic behind Nier Automata. He said that he didn't have the budget or crew to make a vibrant open world game, and so instead, he took the world of Nier Automata and drew a circle around it, and said, players, this is the edge of the world of Nier Automata, and then created quite a bit of content outside of that. So as the player explores and pushes their boundaries, they find out that's not the edge. In fact, there's a whole game waiting out beyond the end of the game. This concept of explaining the rules of the world and intentionally letting players surpass them is part of what makes the new Zelda, Night in the Woods, and Nier Automata all amazing and magical games. In fact, I call this principle of rewarding exploration the principle of magic. Now hold on, because I'm about to spoil Disney World for all y'all. When I went to Disney World 2 years ago with my kids, we were told by numerous sources that we had to go on a ride called Belle's Storytime, and I was skeptical to say the least. The description of the attraction was that you went on a magical journey with Belle. And I was like, great, we're gonna have some costume person tell us a story, or like, watch a movie or something. That's lame. But you know, when they had us all sit down, and a costume person came out to tell us a story, and there was this innocuous looking glass behind them, I never once thought that the room would crackle with magic and that we'd all walk through that mirror, but we did, and that was enough. Literally just changing a mirror into a portal in front of us was enough to make the whole rest of the experience magical. Because what happened is then we went in and we basically watched a movie. But we walked through a mirror to do it, and that was pretty sweet, right? Basically, the concept of giving your players room to explore, giving them something that they can't expect, is incredible. The thing about games is that they have a lot of expectations with them. They're supposed to be fun, take you somewhere, be beautiful, not break, and offer an experience that you can't get anywhere else. And by and large, they do generally tick these boxes. But I think that every game would go miles further with just a dash of magic, with just opening up a mirror and letting you walk through. In Fez, the magic was supposed to be the ability to rotate the world, which, while was totally cool, was part of the hook, not part of the kicker. This is actually an issue of communication, because we expected to go into a world being treated to puzzles that bridge the dimensions, when what would have been more effective, more powerful, was to say this is a platforming game in which you explore other worlds. You go released into these other worlds, you spend a lot of time platforming, and then a ways in, we get the kicker. Oh, by the way, you also get to explore other dimensions. That's the difference between a hook and a kicker. So the hook is the selling point. The kicker is why you really want to be there, is why it's really cool, really powerful, really beyond anything else you'd ever expect. Or in other words, being able to rotate the world just became a gimmick, not an innovation. It was a pretty good gimmick, but a gimmick nonetheless. Fez had all the potential to be a genre-defining piece of high art. It nailed the technical mastery and, to a lesser degree, the imagination and creation. But above all, I think the way that it misused its theme of exploration shows a flaw in the game. It shows us that it could have done so much more. It could have been so much more magical, powerful, meaningful. But it just doesn't hold up. Its mechanics have all been done better by other games now, and its narrative didn't mean enough to its players. It fails to be timeless in that it cannot compete with games outside of its time period. It fails to be complex because it didn't use its theme to encourage deeper deconstructions of its narrative. And that lack of complexity belies its lack of substance. So on the one hand, it was innovative and helped the gaming world see that indie games are here to stay. But on the other hand, 6 years later, it has not held its value. Its mechanics have been done better and stronger by other games. Its puzzles take too much time because the mechanics are flawed. It fails to deliver magic. And its gimmick is just that, a gimmick. It was a snapshot of a simpler time, and it has not weathered the storm. And that's why I've chosen to stop playing Fez. Hey guys, that's it for the video today. I really hope you enjoyed watching it. If you did, please like and subscribe, and also let me know what you think of this, because this took quite a bit of work, and if it wasn't worth it for you, leave me some notes and comments. Tell me what you'd like to see. Thanks guys, have a marvelous day. Bye.